your skeletal voice, you going to insult my skeletal routine? Take that! Bumbling He-Man, I'll kill you!
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the show. So, today's an interesting little tidbit of Vincent Price's backlog of films. Let's just put it this way. If Vincent Price is involved in a film, if nothing else, Vincent Price is always going to be extremely entertaining. And this film is by no means an exception to that rule. So, without further ado, I give you Vincent Price's Theater of Blood. We're going to take things a little bit differently. Normally, I would try and structure things the way it actually is shown in the movie, but we're going to instead straighten out this timeline a little bit so people can understand where things have started from and then go to where things are going. Essentially, deep in the heart of London, there's a circle of reviewers who go to theatrical plays, give critiques and reviews, send them out abroad to whatever publications they are a part of, and they are also in control of an awards ceremony. Said awards ceremony is supposed to give the best cream of the crop in London awards for their hard work and dedication to the art. Edward Lionheart, played by Vincent Price, is one such actor. He is such a devoted actor, in fact, as to actually throw himself into an entire season of Shakespearean plays, showing his versatility and his full-on desire for the Shakespearean art and the works of acting on stage. However, despite all of his many efforts, almost all of the critics decide to pan him, supposedly some of them saying that they wanted him to move on to something different. While others just completely ignore and shun him and look on to others, and they decide to give the Best Actor award to a nobody that just upstarted, instead of awarding the man who threw tons of time, effort, patience, sweat, and blood into his work. So obviously, when Lionheart does not get his reward, he decides to try and confront the reviewers that talked so poorly down upon him. And when they still refuse to give him the reward that he so rightly deserves, he starts to go over the deep end, to the point that he literally walks off onto the balcony around the building, with the statue still in hand, by the way, the reward statue, and takes a suicidal jump into the River Thames. However, police are not able to find the body, because the aftermath result is that Lionheart is found by homeless bums. Believing him to be dead, they try to rip the statue out of his hands, only for him to suddenly wake up and scatter them with fear at the fact that this body just suddenly up and sat up again. They give him some of their mixed alcohol and whatever chemicals to help liven him up a bit, and Lionheart sets out on a plan to get revenge. He acquires the help of his daughter, whom, through numerous disguises, continues to be his right-hand man, and also they continue to hire on the bums, giving them the alcohol that they desire, as well as other things, including a roof over their heads, in order to be loyal and continue on with the plans to try and kill the reviewers that have so undeservedly wronged Lionheart. And so, one by one, over the numerous reviewers, Lionheart tortures them and/or kills them outright through various means, mostly referring to theatrical themes that he has used before. It should also be noted that one of these particular reviewers was actress Carol Brown, of whom was very resilient to being a part in, quote-unquote, one of those Vincent Price movies, end quote. However, she was actually introduced personally to this Mr. Price, although he was still married at the time, and they actually started a fantastically wonderful relationship as friends together. However, over the next 10 years or so, Vincent would actually divorce and later would marry Coral, and they were to be wed until both of them sadly passed away in the early 90s. Cute couple, by the way. However, while all these murders are going down, one of the reviewers actually decides to become very straight up with the police force and actually tries to help them try and solve the murders. He is the only one to survive and manages to get away and see the presumed death of Lionheart as he travels to the top of the building with his at least unconscious, if not now dead, daughter in his arms. And thus the film ends with Lionheart holding on to his daughter as they fall backwards into the building that's lit on fire, presumably to their deaths. No sequels were ever made, so assumably this is the end of their tale. A sad and mournful one, since some of the reviewers do rightly deserve it. This is also, by the way, should be noted, for being one of Vincent Price's favorites. Not just for the acting and the grandiose cast and the wonderful story that was unfurled, but because also Vincent himself always wanted to do Shakespeare. However, being a very popular and semi-typecasted horror actor, he never really got the chance. So this was his big, over-the-top, grandiose chance to show us that he had the stuff. He did quite well as far as I'm concerned. So with that in mind, I should also mention that if this sounds like a somewhat familiar story, it might as well be because it has been thought of by many of his fans of Vincent Price that this is kind of like Dr. Phibes, the first one. And there are some key elements that do feel a bit like it, but I will say that the deaths are original enough. The fact that they tie into Shakespeare instead of the Jewish plagues from the Ten Commandments story also makes things very different. And I would also add that even though the acting can be a little bit over the top, that the feel, the grittiness, the griminess of it actually feels much more solid and far more realistic, adding a bit more of the horror element to the proceedings as we watch. So that's about it for Theatre of Blood. Overall, what I thought of it? Fantastic movie. I don't think there's anyone that broke character or anything like that during proceedings. The music, while not overly notable, was still subtle and well done for the film. And all the actors, especially Vincent Price himself, did marvelous jobs in this film. Absolutely perfect jobs. And it's no wonder that Vincent loves this movie so much. It's essentially a better retelling of Dr. Phibes with a little less camp in it, which I can't blame him on that one. Dr. Phibes is a relatively good story to begin with, so let's just retweak it. So with that being said, I think we're done here. If you can find Theatre of Blood, you can probably find it on DVD relatively cheap these days, and it's totally worth your watch and time. But for now, I think we are done, and sorry about the late Halloween videos, but to help make up for it, I do have another one coming. I will see you next time. Be careful in the showers.
Face it. Face it.